Tiger JK is the new player on this team, and with all of the self-surviving abilities that this team has, if you pick Cleanse, if we have Hand of Protection, communication is going to need to be on point from this team so that things aren't overlapping. But I agree with you, trying to deal with the burst. There is some interplay between Uther Divine Shield and Void Prison 2, and possibly being able to separate a team, somebody away with an isolation kill. Let's see how it works out between these two teams. Simplicity's up 1 game in this best of 5 over ENDEMIC, and that is a different Chromie build.
Oh, baby. We're going quick match special.
Deep breathing.
Now, do we also get the upgrade at 4, or do you really need sustain with bronze talents? At level 4, it's just a bigger area.
Yeah, 25% increased area with that enveloping assault. I'm not sure.
I mean, this goes into single target burst a heck of a lot heavier, but this is totally a quick match special.
You get Dragon's Eye with this thing. Actually, I think one time I saw this. It was with Mobius, and then you're not as hampered by the Mobius damage reduction.
And I'm pretty sure that one lost. Because Mobius loop for me, Gilly, I get it, but I'm pretty sure its win rate is somewhere like negative 67% or something like that.
Well, I have a friend that pulls it off, so I don't think it's negative 67. But okay. I understand. Yeah, you want to pack a punch, then having a deep breathing Dragon's Eye as a Void Prison drops is pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a thing. I think here, if you're looking for sustained damage, the reason like your W build doesn't do so well, there's going to be a stack there, is because it takes too long on cooldown and you're strictly relying on your Qs. This might be the map in the Battleground where if you're looking for sustained, Mobius loop reduces the damage, but it lowers the cooldown, and generally you're lacking that burst.
There it is.
Oh my. Okay, I didn't expect this much. So now I do kind of wonder if we'll get that level 7 Mobius. Although Dragon's Eye does seem pretty cool.
This series is so much fun.
You know people in chat are having a heyday with this build.
Mm-hmm. No Crash Lightning. Still Echo of the Elements so good on this map. It feels like Crash Lightning is all but gone. Which Zuna might be too. Mike's coming in.
Calculated.
Makes it out.
That was a pretty heavy gank attempt, and continuing to stack. 2 stacks. Those are the only 2 that we've seen. Chromie, 1 stack. Is that even considered a stack? I guess you start at 0. 1 stack on Q build. It's hard because it's been out of reach, and there's not a true, real solo lane that they're really establishing at this point in the game.
Yeah, the tri-lane I would have expected to get a little bit more than that. Simplicity have a lot of focus toward this top lane, and that may mean that they're very focused toward the second control point specifically, but also, like we saw in the last game with that Sergeant Hammer, just picking a place and trying to stick with it is very important with that Sergeant Hammer. Now that the control point's going to be unlocking soon, I expect that place to change as they get set up around that control point.
I feel like I'm living in a different world. We're a quarter of, about a 5th of a level away from finding out what that level 5, 7 talent for Chromie is going to be. But last night I actually played the proper build just because I felt like, you know, I should be meta for once.
This is the proper build now. It is Mobius.
Okay. So you get more sustain, more area damage, but you got to stack it up if you're really going to find it. Cure, the hunt is on. Nice knockback there by Hosty. Good body blocks. Cure, as much as you juke, there's no jive in this one.
Now, and with the turret down, this might be the start of Simplicity getting the first initial channel as B-Kid backs off. There will be plenty of time to try to get back into this, but for the moment, Michael Udall trying to set up Big E for some stacks. That was cool to see with the Broderick Cube and slow there.
It's going to be another stack. Zuna holding the top lane, trying to deal with the camp there as ENDEMIC already cleared out the camp from the side of Simplicity. Turret still got a little bit of life on it as King Caffeine holding point for the moment. Another stack there for Biggie, and completing that. Once you complete it, nice interrupt there on the Dwarf Toss, and B-Kid gonna fall. The cleanse, or excuse me, the armor and the self cleanse there for Hosty to deal with the impending damage coming in from Biggie.
Tiger shows Murden who has the better hammer. getting that Hammer of Justice and the V-Kid kill. Half a level ahead is Simplicity now, as they'll channel the rest of this control point and pick up a Triglav Protector.
With that cooldown reduction, Biggie has been stacking up at a rapid pace all of a sudden, going from just a handful of stacks to he's sitting on 13. So he's over halfway there. And once he gets that, we'll get the bonus damage. So you stack up the damage, and then once you complete it, you get bonus damage. And so far, he's well on his way. So we'll continue to keep an eye on this as it does ramp up. A unique build, to say the least.
You know, it also increases Chromie's sight radius, which might make it a bit easier to try to figure out where Hammer, where the rest of the team is going to be. But they don't have a reveal of sorts. But we'll see what the sharking around of Zeratul and well, mainly Zeratul can do here. I think this is maybe the first Dansky Zeratul I've seen.
Biggie is stacking up at a rapid pace on both fronts.
Yeah,
he's
he's
already up to 31.
Over halfway with his Sandblast too.
Yeah, things have picked up quite a bit. But what's also picked up is Simplicity's control and damage in this game. Getting that Protector, they stole the turret. They have Sergeant Hammer bottom that's been pushing. They take down the mid and top fort walls, and you can see the bottom under assault as one tower has gone down. Cure finding a hard time engaging here. So we got a full level lead here for Simplicity.
Yeah, what I wanted to note too is Simplicity, with the draft they have a sort of double solo laners with the Phoenix and the Dahaka, which makes it very easy and comfortable to keep Sergeant Hammer with Garrosh and Uther, who you want to have with them. But even having Sergeant Hammer hang out in that bottom lane, since the Protector pulled up so much of ENDEMIC to defend versus that, got some more siege damage done, and they are winning on a lot of fronts in the second game versus ENDEMIC. Dahaka's going to stalk in 10, not quite here yet for Simplicity, but a drag lands nonetheless.
Dansky blinks out to see if he uses that wormhole, does not. Zuna's going to take another Dragon's Breath coming in there, but the threat of level 10. I will say, the one part about ENDEMIC, when you get Echo of Elements completed, which it has, and then you get the 16, and then you get Chromie stacked up, and then Zeratul post 16.
So much poke.
ENDEMIC becomes a much stronger force the later this game goes. You look at Giant Killer potentially available for Sergeant Hammer, but the damage does not have the same impact as we see this team move forward. So I think that scaling-wise, ENDEMIC does have the advantage. Can Simplicity get a big enough lead to try and avoid that?
Yes, excellent point. That's very terrifying, what ENDEMIC can do with the Chromie and Thrall on this map, and then even the Zeratul too, once he gets his 16th leave talent.
Well, Temporal Loop obviously wasn't the choice against this style team. But the fact that Divine Shield is being held, that's one of those opportunities where a Thrall, Zeratul diving in on
Divine
you.
Storm.
Yeah, it's a bit more appealing to go Divine Storm. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but if all of your members, between the armor for Garrosh and the self-heal of each member, I guess protect yourself, because I'm not helping. I got to cleanse, and that's about it.
We've seen teams be willing to go into this build before, the double stun for Dansky, for the Zeratul when he dives in. But what it's usually along or paired with is a secondary support. There is no Divine Shield here. I wondered if we would see a Sundering to try to throw in a Sergeant Hammer. But no, we're going to stick with an Earthquake here. Earthquake with a Void Prison, or Void Prison to set things up. Earthquake and Slowing Sands is just ridiculous amount of slows, and still stay a while and listen for Deckard Cain.
Chromie, of course, timeout the pickup here. But for Simplicity, the one thing that they do have at 16 for the point you brought up with the stun is that Benediction, which if they can get the lockdown onto one target, once you take one of those heroes out, whether it's the Zeratul or the Thrall, your odds go significantly higher. We'll see if they can make that happen as we see an invade potentially. Actually, they're just going to steal the camp because that is off cooldown.
Get a couple of towers or turrets for this next control point, which is... I wonder if it is, because Simplicity are getting really close to 13. They have the Global, they have the Dahaka, which means ENDEMIC just might be willing to engage sans that, but have the extra turrets to try to make this more favorable for them. Kira has taken a lot of damage before this even has gotten underway, but he's Thrall, he has his self to sustain, and with the potions of Deckard Cain, can start healing back up to full as they get into the point.
Well, Dahaka's got 13, and it's an interesting spot because you actually have to come up a little bit sooner because your point of entry is much further away from the team fight than you would, say, on Towers of Doom, where you can be right beside, and he's here. Now he's trying to make an impact. Pure trying to hold point, but there it is. There's going to be a big taunt.
And the Purification Salvo follows up that too. Thrall's going to go down immediately, and another drag from Zuna does a lot. Into the fray, into the time trap.
It's always funny to see the animations frozen in time, but that 13, as you said, pretty impactful. Thrall went down at the beginning of that, despite Chromie obviously finishing that Dragon's Breath quest. Now sitting at 51 stacks on the baseline Q target, 9 away, now 8 away. Excuse me, that was a double stack, so 7 away from getting that clone, which again will help, but getting to the later game as we see the lead starting to distance even further. 2-level lead, and now they're going to turn their attention to the bot lane. Simplicity stretching this out, making it hard for ENDEMIC to get on even footing.
And J-Hope, Salvo didn't even go off in that fight.
Yeah.
It got stopped too. So being able to get that commanding of a lead, ENDEMIC went in without 13. That is arguably the best talent tier to fight down without having, but they wanted to steal the turret first, which meant that they were willing to take that fight. And in losing it, in losing the Protector, because Simplicity had charged it back up so fast, ENDEMIC are still missing a lot of their heroic abilities, so they couldn't try to get into another fight. And now they just now have 13, but it's 2 levels behind, and all of the forts are gone.
Well, Dansky, you can see on the mini-map there, was lurking, trying to see if maybe coming out of that Protector they could find an opportunity. Right now, ENDEMIC on those even talent tiers, Gilly, but it won't be for long. As Simplicity racing towards 16, and you got to wonder for ENDEMIC, are you going to be able to get to that 16 tier before that next control point? As we see Simplicity turning their attention to the healing pulse, see if the fight starts here. Team a little bit slow to rotate. Do we get the VP? There's going to be one cleave, but the Divine Shield, Divine Storm getting the lockdown onto Thrall again. BFG, Zeratul comes in. Gilly, that was a massacre in split-second time against those frontliners for ENDEMIC.
Yeah, VP and Earthquake couldn't be used because Divine Storm hit. Taunt was a double taunt with them being split up even and both being hit by both of those abilities. That's not how you want that fight to start. It feels like ENDEMIC maybe needs to hit the pause button. It's a little bit panicked, but now, unfortunately for them, they're gonna have to play this out cautiously because they're 3 levels behind, and that control point is bottom where they already don't have a fort.
Yeah, the hard part is that, you know, the general rotation will be to push that top lane, get experience back. But as we've seen, that comeback experience through fort walls, a little bit more difficult. So then you have to push all the way into the fort if you really want to try and get to that 16. And that takes a much longer time. And if we see Sergeant Hammer and team siege down that bot lane, then it's a trade that unfortunately you have to take. It's a risky trade because then you have a very small window to fight to get back in.
Right. The problem with that we see every time somebody does that is the other team just takes the keep towers or the keep and then suddenly ends the game with the Protector every time.
Like
so
clockwork.
It's not an easy decision to try to make. Maybe we see ENDEMIC with some of these big controlling abilities like Void Prison just take a fight without 16 instead, but the problem is that they have not been in any sort of position to get something done with those abilities, especially with Divine Storm.
They're trying to see if somebody's going to try and gank Zuna. They're using the Dino as bait. None taken, because, you know, the other option is to gank that solo laner, and they're protecting that. Again, that bottom lane is so far pushed out. There's nothing to do, so they're going to chill, hang out for a bit, and it's not a lot of action for the viewers at home, but it's definitely it's a mind game. It's a very strategic element of this game, as nobody's trying to show. Not even ENDEMIC. They're not showing Simplicity. They're willing to hold their ground with 16. Hosty, he's invisible.
Here's the moment, and ENDEMIC are only a half level behind. They can soak this up, especially since the lanes have been pushed toward them. Holding the assault camp was very nice. That buys some extra time for Simplicity, or gives an extra push toward the top if ENDEMIC choose to ignore it.
Well, 16 is going to be here, so they did have enough time in that window to get 16, so they are going to have one fight available to them, and if they don't get that, as you said, that Protector could potentially be game ending. But if ENDEMIC takes the fight, they are very much back in this game. They pick up a turret camp. They're going to help. You can see the healing pulse available. A couple of turrets here for Simplicity. See if they can hold their ground, get another lockdown, and open this fight up with a kill.
Drag starts, turret there. Dansky's harassing.
Zuna is eating a lot of damage. Healing Pulse is going to be there. There's going to be the heal Earthquake. They're ready to engage. There's going to be the root. B-Kid going in deep. Going to drop down the stun. There's going to be the Divine Storm. That is another kill there. BP out, though. See if they can turn this around.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who they wreck. There is going to be the Self-Unstoppable into a taunt with the Purification Salvo as K1 Pro walks in and a drags back Thrall into the salvo. A 3-for-1 in Simplicity's favor.
Dansky took advantage of that 16. Did get a kill. Tiger with the body blocks, bringing the hammer.
That's what I call Tank Uther.
Tank Uther indeed. Deckard Cain, he needs that wheelchair to get away a little bit quicker because that Cain not getting him anywhere. And now the Protector with 4 members down on the side of ENDEMIC. Do we just sidewall and end here? Or do we just go and take the full amount of experience? Hosty going to receive the healing so that he can siege up behind this Protector.
Avoided a lot of the chromie damage.
Well, they decided to sidewall but left a little bit, so they're going to go straight to the keep. Still 65% here for the Protector.
Simplicity quickly gaining speed to 20, but not quite there yet. 7 seconds until Deckard Cain is back. 20 is all but here, but Simplicity still stepping forward with the remainder of this Protector's health bar.
Them focusing heroes and not focusing the core, that is a major loss in damage. I get that the health was low, but when you're prioritizing that kill, I don't think you're going to get the kill that you anticipated. There's going to be...
Is it orbital?
It is, or I looked over the same time you did, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh, man.
You don't launch that, because I was like, there's no kill target, so I looked over at the talents, and we've got orbital.
Unconquered Spirit, although K1 Pro has barely been under fire as it is, but that's really going to make him harder to kill. We see a Contagion too. Contagion can get a lot done versus the very melee-heavy composition that ENDEMIC has. And all the stacks in the world for Big Impact still have not been amounting to too much for ENDEMIC. They have been dealing with the onslaught of the Sergeant Hammer. And no matter how this game ends, Jay-How, if we are on a map in the Game 3 that even possibly could have a Sergeant Hammer, I bet that gets banned.
Seems likely. Is the stun going to miss there? B-Kitty's going to be stunned in return. Tiger JK walking forward. Zuna lands a drag there. See if they can get the lockdown. The taunt's going to be there. That's going to be another takedown. Thrall falls. There's nice isolation. Nice Divine Storm. That's going to be a second takedown. Zuna.
Who is this guy?
Zuna, God, at this point, my goodness. He just was like, guys, can we just kill them and try and win the game here?
Yeah, can we just end the game here? There's no Thrall with Earthquake. There's no Void Prison for 30 more seconds. They already took the keep down. B-Kid knew it was coming and is going to slow him to the best of his ability. But here comes the BFG to get this party started.
Yeah, shields have already fallen. Hosty's going to siege up on this. The minute they get some minions up here, he's taking his position. Biggie, he's going to try and drop the bombs, but the bombs are coming at the expense here as ENDEMIC starting to fall. There's just nothing you can do. Simplicity going up 2-0 behind the Sergeant Hammer composition.
Wait. What? This is...